The first time their eyes met again, it was not under the glare of cameras or the roar of a crowd, but in a quiet rehearsal hall where dust floated like tiny constellations in the afternoon light. Wang Yibo stood near the mirror, helmet tucked under his arm, still wearing the faint smell of engine oil and rain from the racetrack. He had arrived straight from practice, heart still beating in the rhythm of speed. Xiao Zhan walked in moments later, script pressed to his chest, expression calm yet thoughtful, as if he carried entire worlds behind his eyes. For a heartbeat, the room forgot how to breathe. Time stretched, then folded back into itself. They nodded politely, like professionals who had done this dance before. But beneath the surface, something stirred, an unspoken awareness, sharp and electric, like touching a live wire. Everyone in the room could feel it. The director cleared his throat. "Let's begin." From the moment the cameras rolled, the air changed. Lines spoken on paper transformed into something alive. A glance became a question. A pause became an answer. Wang Yibo's intensity collided with Xiao Zhan's warmth, creating a balance so perfect it felt impossible to recreate. Crew members forgot to check their monitors. Assistants forgot their cues. Even the director forgot to yell "cut." When the scene ended, silence followed. Then applause, soft at first, then louder until it filled the room. They smiled, professional smiles, but when their eyes met again, something deeper passed between them. Recognition, respect, curiosity. Once-in-a-lifetime chemistry had found its spark. Late nights became routine. After long days of filming, when the set lights dimmed and the crew dispersed, Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan often remained behind. Sometimes they rehearsed. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they simply sat in comfortable silence, listening to the hum of the city outside. One night, rain hammered against the windows like an impatient drummer. "You ever get tired of being strong all the time?" Wang Yibo asked suddenly, breaking the silence. Xiao Zhan looked at him, surprised by the honesty. "All the time," he replied softly. "But I think that's the price of doing what we love." Wang Yibo nodded. "People see the speed, the awards, the noise. They don't see the quiet moments." Xiao Zhan smiled gently. "That's where the real work happens." Their conversation drifted from music to art, from fear to dreams. Each word peeled away a layer, revealing something raw and human beneath the public image. In that quiet room, they weren't idols or stars. They were just two people learning the shape of each other's thoughts. Outside, the rain slowed. Inside, something settled into place. The first time things went wrong on set, it happened during a critical scene. A complex emotional moment. One chance to get it right. The camera rolled. Halfway through, Wang Yibo forgot his line. The silence was deafening. His jaw tightened. Frustration flickered across his face. The pressure of expectation, heavy and familiar, pressed down on him. Before anyone could react, Xiao Zhan stepped closer, unscripted, unplanned. He delivered his line differently, softer, grounding the moment. His eyes held Wang Yibo's, steady and sure, pulling him back into the scene like an anchor in a storm. Wang Yibo found his footing. The scene continued, more powerful than before. When the director finally yelled "cut," there were tears on set. Not from sadness, but from witnessing something real. Later, backstage, Wang Yibo exhaled shakily. "Thank you." Xiao Zhan shrugged lightly. "That's what partners do." Partners. The word lingered. Fame has a way of testing bonds. Rumors began to swirl as they always did. Headlines exaggerated glances. Comments dissected every interaction. The world watched closely, sometimes too closely. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day online, Wang Yibo sat on the edge of the studio roof, city lights stretching endlessly below. His phone buzzed with notifications he refused to open. Xiao Zhan joined him, handing over a warm cup of tea. "Don't read them," he said gently. "I know," Wang Yibo replied. "But sometimes it's hard not to." Xiao Zhan stared out at the skyline. "They don't know us. They know stories they create. What if those stories hurt the people we care about?" Wang Yibo asked quietly. Xiao Zhan turned to him then, expression steady. "Then we protect what's real. Even if it's quiet. Even if it's invisible." Wang Yibo studied his face, illuminated by neon reflections. In that moment, he realized something profound. This wasn't just chemistry for the screen. This was trust. The final day of filming arrived faster than anyone expected. The last scene was simple. Two characters parting ways, knowing their lives would never be the same. No dramatic music. No grand gestures. Just truth. As the camera rolled, Wang Yibo felt emotion rise unexpectedly. The lines blurred with reality. The goodbye felt too close, too personal. Xiao Zhan reached out, fingers brushing his sleeve, subtle, almost invisible. Grounding. The scene ended. Cut, the director said, voice thick with emotion. That's a wrap. Cheers erupted. Flowers were passed around. Photos were taken. Memories sealed into digital frames. But amid the celebration, Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan found themselves standing slightly apart, facing each other. So, Wang Yibo said, attempting a smile. This is it. Xiao Zhan nodded. For now. They didn't hug. Cameras were everywhere. Instead, they shared a look, one filled with gratitude, pride, and something unspoken that neither dared to name. Once-in-a-lifetime chemistry doesn't end when the cameras stop. It transforms. Months passed. They followed separate schedules. Different cities. Different projects. Yet somehow, their paths continued to cross. In award shows, backstage hallways, chance encounters that felt anything but accidental. Every reunion was easy. Every conversation picked up where it left off. During one award night, as applause thundered through the hall, Wang Yibo glanced across the room and caught Xiao Zhan's eye. They smiled. In that moment, surrounded by noise and light, the world faded. What remained was simple and rare. Connection. Years later, fans would still talk about it. They'd analyze scenes, interviews, behind-the-scenes clips. They'd call it magic, destiny, fate. But only Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan knew the truth. It wasn't luck. It was two souls meeting at exactly the right time, challenging each other, supporting each other, seeing each other beyond the surface. Once-in-a-lifetime chemistry isn't something you chase. It finds you. Quietly. Powerfully. And when it does, it changes everything. The chemistry didn't announce itself loudly. It didn't crash into the room or demand attention. It slipped in quietly, the way lightning forms inside a cloud long before it strikes. After that first rehearsal, everything felt different. The next morning, Wang Yibo arrived earlier than usual. He told himself it was discipline, habit, professionalism. But when he pushed open the rehearsal hall door and saw Xiao Zhan already there, standing by the window, humming softly while flipping through his script, his chest tightened in a way he couldn't explain. Sunlight spilled across the floor, framing Xiao Zhan like a painting paused mid-creation. Morning, Xiao Zhan said, looking up with that calm smile that always felt warmer than it should. Morning, Wang Yibo replied, suddenly hyper-aware of his posture, his voice, the space between them. They began rehearsing again. This time, it was different. Their movements synced without discussion. When Wang Yibo stepped forward, Xiao Zhan stepped back, not because the script demanded it, but because it felt right. When Xiao Zhan paused, Wang Yibo filled the silence with a look so intense the assistant director forgot to breathe. Cut! The director called out, stunned. That was not what I imagined. Everyone froze. Then the director smiled slowly. That was better. Whispers rippled across the room. They didn't rehearse that. How did they know? Did you see that look? Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan exchanged a glance, half confused, half aware. Something invisible was guiding them. During breaks, they found themselves gravitating toward each other without effort. Coffee cups placed side by side. Conversations that started with the script and drifted into life. What do you do when you're nervous before a scene? Xiao Zhan asked once. Wang Yibo thought for a moment. I move. Dance. Ride. Speed clears my head. Xiao Zhan nodded. I draw. Even if it's just lines. It reminds me I don't have to be perfect, just honest. That word again. Honest. The more they talked, the more the walls fell. Not dramatically, not all at once, but brick by brick. Expectations. Labels. The weight of being watched. When they acted together, those weights vanished. The first table read with the full cast was where the chemistry truly ignited. As they read their lines aloud, the room shifted. What should have been simple dialogue carried tension, softness, history that wasn't written on the page. A line meant to sound casual came out intimate, a pause written as seconds stretched into something heavy and meaningful. The screenwriter leaned toward the director. Did we write it like that? The director shook his head slowly. No. They found it. Found it. Wang Yibo felt it too. The way Xiao Zhan's voice anchored him, the way emotions surfaced effortlessly when their characters faced each other. Acting stopped feeling like performance. It felt like truth borrowing their bodies. One evening, they stayed behind to run the same scene again and again. Different tones, different emotions, different distances. What if we try without speaking at all? Xiao Zhan suggested. The director hesitated, then nodded. No dialogue, just presence. The camera rolled. Wang Yibo stepped closer. Xiao Zhan didn't retreat. Their breathing aligned. 1,000 unspoken thoughts passed between them. Fear, trust, longing, understanding. The silence screamed louder than words. When the scene ended, no one moved. A production assistant wiped tears from her eyes. That, someone whispered, is rare. Wang Yibo looked at Xiao Zhan, heart pounding. How did you know? Xiao Zhan smiled faintly. I didn't. I just felt it. As days turned into weeks, the chemistry became undeniable. Directors adjusted blocking to keep them closer. Writers rewrote scenes to give them more shared moments. Editors lingered on their expressions longer than planned. Not because fans demanded it, because the screen demanded it. There was one night scene that changed everything. Rain machines roared overhead. The set was cold. Exhaustion hung heavy in the air. The scene called for emotional restraint, but when Wang Yibo delivered his line, something cracked open. His voice trembled. His eyes burned. Xiao Zhan reacted instinctively, stepping closer, hand hovering as if to reach out, then stopping, fingers curling into his palm. That hesitation said more than any scripted confession ever could. Cut! The director yelled, voice shaking. That's it. That's the one. Crew members stared at the monitors in awe. Wang Yibo exhaled, chest tight. Xiao Zhan met his gaze, eyes just as intense. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. Later that night, alone in the hallway, Wang Yibo finally broke the silence. Do you ever feel like this isn't acting anymore? He asked quietly. Xiao Zhan considered the question carefully. I think, he said, it's acting at its purest. When you stop pretending and start responding. Wang Yibo nodded slowly. Once-in-a-lifetime chemistry isn't about perfection. It's about presence, about listening, about allowing someone else to change the rhythm of your heart without fear. And in that early stage, before fame dissected it, before the world named it, what Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan shared was fragile, powerful, and real. The kind of connection that only appears once. If this continuation moved you, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful, emotional stories like this. Your support keeps these stories alive.